There it is. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly, a bearded man of real estate. My name is Ray, and we have a ton to talk about today. We're streaming everywhere that you can be streaming, I think. There may be a couple that are left off, but we added one today. So I'm excited to be streaming for the first time live on Twitch. So we'll see how it goes. If you're joining because you're thinking, I'm going to watch this guy play a cool game. Nah, it's a different kind of stream, but that's okay. So today we got a ton of news to cover. This is episode 286 of This Week in Real Estate, broadcast live Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Can Kamala save housing? So this episode was brought to you by viewers and listeners like you. So thanks everybody for tuning in and for supporting the show. Because of your support, we're members of the YouTube Partner Program. That's pretty cool. If you're watching on YouTube, you could comment. I could display your comment live. I would love for someone to comment on Twitch because I have no idea what that's going to show up like on this interface through StreamYard. But if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can also comment. I can display those comments. If you're over on anything else, like Clubhouse, all you have to do is raise your hand and you can add your voice to the show. Let us know what you think about these topics as we run through them. And the whole reason why we created this show is so that you would have one place where you could go for about an hour to get the latest news and headlines of everything associated with real estate. So you don't have to waste a whole bunch of time doing the research like I do for you every week. And if you like that research, if you like that research, see about supporting the show. You can make donations, you can share the show, send it to somebody in the industry, investors, realtors, title companies, lenders. And without further ado, let's just dive into the first article. You've got mail. The NAR settlement class action notices are headed to consumers' mailboxes. Yay! So yeah, I think we covered this a little bit, talking about how some of the mailers were going out, but more and more of those mailers are now going out across the country to let everyone know that they may have a case against their agent. And if they want to collect part of the class action claim, all they have to do is to notify them by, I can't remember the date, somewhere in October. If they don't notify them by that time in October, then they will not be part of the class action, will not receive anything. They do, I think you have to opt out as well. So claims, now it says claims are due by May 9th, 2025. So maybe this is a different one. So this is going out now to homes around the country. One of our clients actually got it and sent me a copy of it and said, hey, this is what this says. And I can tell you just from the look of the mailer, it's a pretty poorly produced mailer. You could tell that they were only after let's just get this out there because we're legally obligated to get out there. I don't think the attorneys put any kind of consideration into graphics. like there was nothing attractive about it. It was just basically a written notice. So those are going to be going out. I would encourage you, if you're a real estate agent and you know that your clients may be eligible for this, it would probably be better if your clients heard from you rather than if your clients heard from them first. Because remember, I'm not an attorney, but you could call them and say, hey, you might be eligible for this class action thing. You should look into it because this is what happened. And if they actually do make more than $23, they'll probably be pretty grateful for you. But if they only make $23, then they'll always know that, you know what, my realtor is the one who told me about it first. So there are still some people that have no idea what's going on. I'm trying to find, I thought there was a copy of it, but you can go to realestateCommissionLitigation.com and you can see information about the settlement if you're interested. It says claims are due by May 9th, 2025, but I could have sworn there was an October deadline. And maybe it was just a different ruling or different settlement on there. So, okay, next up, ReAlpha. ReAlpha has a super app that says you don't have to use an agent. It dangles commission-free buyer agency. I tested it, so I'm going to give you guys some insight into the test and what I found out. But basically, they're a publicly traded software company, ReAlpha Tech Corp, AIRE. They've shipped what it's calling a super app that will provide a free solution for end-to-end home buying representation and services. August 20th press release said they referenced the new rules in place of the settlement. National Association of Realtors class action consumers seeking restitution for a way real estate commission has been traditionally structured. All this is now changed because this for sure allows someone to purchase a home and not pay buyer agent commission. So this sounds great. Basically, you use AI. Let me share my screen. I'll show you one. So I am actually looking for, like an Airbnb type situation. It's been on our goals list for a long time, is to pick up an Airbnb on the coast. So I thought, well, let me check this ReAlpha thing and see if it makes it easier for me to purchase a condo or something like that in Miami near the coast. And I just went cheap, just to see what was out there. And so this is what we have. I found this property, Ocean Drive, number 126. And there's this window on the side over here that I started asking questions. And so my first question, I read through here, it looked pretty good. I didn't see any kind of rental estimates or anything. I didn't see any short-term rental estimates. So my first question was, what would this condo Airbnb for? And then the AI, Claire is the name of the AI, it responded, I don't have specific rental or Airbnb income estimates for properties. However, you can get a rough idea by looking at similar listings in the area, rental platforms. So this is my first oh, okay, well, if I'm hiring a real estate agent, I would expect that question to be answered. But since I'm not hiring a real estate agent, then I guess not having the answer to that question makes sense. So then I asked the AI, can you tell me if the condo has increased in fees to cover the cost of the upkeep? Because in the condo arena, as far as Miami goes, because of the condo that collapsed not too long ago, they've increased maintenance fees. And so I'm wondering, what's the maintenance fee increase been? And then it says I need to check the details of the homeowner association, this condo, to see if it has any recent fee changes or costs. Please hold for a moment. And so then I just waited. And then it says the condo is part of a homeowner association with a monthly fee of $303. Covers amenities such as laundry facilities, elevators, exterior lighting, and a pool. If there's been an increase recently, it would typically cover the cost of maintenance and upkeep. So there's no information on if this condo has already increased their fees and is now covered by the new rule, or if it's still susceptible for me to purchase this as an investment property and then suddenly be surprised by a huge increase. And it tells me that I should get involved in the HOA meetings. How often do condo fees typically increase and what do they usually cover? And then I clicked a button to ask this question. Like you see at the bottom here. Let me see if I can zoom in. You see at the bottom here, it has these questions, standard questions that I can ask. And so I just clicked the button on it to see if it gave me a different answer. It did not give me a different answer than the one that I asked. And so then I started asking additional questions and it stopped answering questions. It would not answer any more questions. So for instance, it may work now. Let's see. Maybe I was asking too many questions too often. So let me ask, is this property in a flood plain? Let's see if it'll answer me this time. You see how it has this little ball at the bottom. Okay, good. So now it's answering my question. For whatever reason, when I was previously asking these questions, it would not answer the question. It would just kind of go away. Now it says the condo 335 Miami Beach, Florida is not in a flood zone. It suggests it's not in a flood plain. However, given the location, Miami Beach, it's why it's consult the updated flood map. Yeah, it's on the beach. So if that's not in a floodplain, I don't know what would be. I don't know. It could be wrong. It could be wrong. So it didn't do a very good job of continuing to answer the questions because I got to a limit of questions, I guess, where I was trying to ask the questions and it just would not answer. And so then I clicked the make an offer button and I'd already put in my basic information and then I could share a pre-approval letter, sign in a buyer agreement with them. Now I kind of already had a pre-approval letter ready, but I wanted to not submit it and see if I could just sign the buyer agreement with them, in which I can. So this is really interesting. When I looked at the buyer agreement, I didn't see a whole bunch of fees. Let me okay. This is going to be in a different. All right. So this is the buyer agreement. It made me give it a specific city. It made me give it a price range. It set the date from August 21st to February of 17th. That was an auto date on there. And then it talked about the broker obligations. I use their professional knowledge and skills to assist the buyer in determining buyer's financial capability. That all is probably kind of standard. I don't know what the standard Florida form looks like, but I feel like a lot of the language in this was standard. And then my obligations to them are to cooperate with the broker, provide accurate personal and financial information, conduct negotiations basically reasonably, indemnify and hold the broker harmless from additional and all losses, damages, and costs and expenses of any kind, and attorney's fees. There's no retainer. So this is when it gets into the fee section, because I'm wondering, like, how are they making money? If they say it's no fee and they say it's no commission, how are they making money? There's a $0 retainer. The fee is not non-refundable because there's not a fee. There's 0% compensation. It's all zeroed out. Zero lease. The broker will be paid 0% of an option. So it's all 00000, right? So we're getting down to where it has my personal information on there, so I'm not going to share that all over the internet. Early termination. Any party could terminate. I did not sign this, by the way, because I didn't trust it, because they got to be making money from somewhere. And it says their obligation to me, Florida law requires all real estate licensees who have no brokerage relationship with potential seller or buyer disclose their duties to sellers and buyers. So it's just a general disclosure at the end of that, talking about dealing honestly and fairly, disclosing all known facts, and then accounting for funds entrusted to the licensee through the escrow accounts. So from all intents and purposes, their whole contract is saying 00000. I don't have to pay anything. So it's just as advertised, right? Not necessarily. There's this little thing that they have called transaction fees. And so I started to look into what the ReAlpha transaction fees were, because they say no fees, but then they say, in order for me to close a deal with them, there will be some transaction fees. So I kept asking their AI on their site, hey, what's the transaction fee? How much do I pay you? That kind of thing. And it was giving me these vague answers as to, well, if you were to, offer on this property, here's the fee breakdown, and it would estimate my closing costs for the lender and title company and escrow. And every time I kept asking it about the fee, it kept responding with, well, here are the general closing fees. It would not tell me how much I had to pay them. So I'm betting, surely once you get into the make an offer segment and you are represented by them, surely there's something on the offer or something in that discloses it, but I couldn't find anything on their site about how much they're paid or how, because nothing is truly free. Come to find out through a third-party source that their transaction fee is about 2.5%. Y'all, this means that you are doing all of your own work. You're doing all of your own research. You're asking AI questions, and the AI response is general and then says, for this specific property, you should ask blank. And it gives you a location or a professional to ask. And you're still paying 2.5%. It's just called a transaction fee. This is ridiculous. Now, there were some estimates that said it may be as low as 2%. But I was asking all kinds of questions like, hey, what if the seller doesn't offer any buyer agent commission? Can I keep it? And the AI didn't know that. I said, if the seller is not offering buyer agent commission, am I on the hook to pay ReAlpha something, and the AI didn't know the answer to that. And so here I am, a legit pre-approved buyer, looking in the area, and no fees are disclosed. There's no transaction fee disclosed until after I sign a representation agreement. How does that work? I think a lot of these guys, I think that's dangerous. Given the new rules, I think that's super dangerous. And maybe they've segregated it out saying, well, that's not our brokerage. That's the transaction company that our brokerage uses, and they're the ones that charge you. So with our brokerage, it's truly free. I did get a follow-up email that said, hey, thanks for signing up. You have 2 points of contacts 24/7. And I can chat with them anytime. All I have to do is click a button to chat with them. All right, so let me share with you what it looks like when I click the button to chat. Let's say I wanted to give this guy, how can I share? I don't want to share his name. I don't want to like out, because, you know, he's an employee / real estate agent of the company. It's not his fault. But everyone knows what a Calendly link looks like. So when I click to chat with my representative from the company, it takes me to the Calendly link. And on that Calendly link, on today, the 21st of August, there's no availability. There's no phone number. There's no other way for me to contact this person than to set an appointment on Calendly. And the first available time is tomorrow at 8 a.m. Well, what if I have a question today? I want to put in the offer today. No. But, oh, wait, it said I have 2 people that I can contact, right? So then I clicked the link to the other person to see, well, surely that Calendly has some other times available that I would be able to talk to that person today. No. The closest time I can have that conversation is tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. So there's this phrase, you get what you pay for. And a lot of real estate agents see these free services and tell consumers, well, you get what you pay for. And a lot of times the consumers are looking at this thinking, well, yeah, I might get what I pay for, and I'm willing to do that. But in reality, they're not getting what they pay for at all. This is a worse deal. And does that transaction company get paid even if the deal doesn't go through? Do I have to pay them out of pocket because they're not doing anything with the buyer agent compensation and not negotiating? So Steven Johnson with a laughing emoji. What's up, Steven? Thanks for joining the show. Maverick Home Group says HOA fees may be out of this world. Yes, especially for the Miami condo, which is one of the reasons why I chose Miami condos. I am looking for property, but I'll probably not get a Miami condo for that reason. But I was curious, like, could it answer appropriate questions? And my resounding review is no. I don't think this is going to be worth it at all. So ReAlpha had a big announcement, and I think it falls on deaf ears. I think as people start to go through websites like this, it's going to all be the same. There's rules in place now that they have to follow as well. There's going to be disclosures that they're going to have to follow. And I just don't think I don't think this model is going to last at all. Steven Johnson said, you probably end up talking to someone that barely knows the business and it's from India. Well, maybe. Oh, they hold a valid real estate license supposedly in America. It's probably just people that want the salary. You know, there's a business model for real estate agents in which you earn a salary instead of, you know, doing the commission thing. All right, let's take another look at the next article because we do have to run through pretty quick today. So there was a lawsuit filed. Another broker filed a lawsuit against NAR, but this one's kind of weird because the same day they filed the suit, they withdrew the suit. What? Cassina Group files and withdraws antitrust lawsuit against NAR and the state realtor associations. So yeah, later that same day it was withdrawn. they filed a suit against NAR and 7 state realtor associations. Why did they withdraw it? The claims were an agreement, according to the lawsuit, mandates that the real estate brokers and agents must pay membership fees to the real estate associations, NAR and realtor associations, local real estate associations, to access essential tools like the multiple listing service and lockboxes. That's how it is here. The complaint argued that it violates antitrust laws because it eliminates competition from the market for real estate association members between the national association, national, state, and local real estate membership associations, artificially inflates or stabilizes membership dues because of those associations. I mean, I'm hard pressed to disagree. I can't disagree with that at all. So along with NAR and the following realtor associations were named: California Association, Florida Association, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina. Lawsuit was dismissed. The complaint initially sought class action status to represent all real estate brokers and agents nationwide. The plaintiffs asked for damages, injunctive relief, and mandatory membership requirements in a jury trial. Later that same day, however, the lawsuit was withdrawn with a notice to dismiss the class action lawsuit without prejudice, since the defendants have not been served with a summons and complaint. So without prejudice means that they could rebring this suit at some time in the future. With prejudice means they could not. So that was granted, and then Broke Agent Media says it's not clear at this time why it was withdrawn. I wonder if it was withdrawn because maybe when they filed it, they were contacted by another attorney doing a bigger lawsuit with more brokerages involved instead of doing a bunch of little ones. So we will see. I thought that was just an interesting story. Jack, I saw you unmute. Did you have something to add to that?
No, I that was by accident, but at the same time, I will say that some of the frivolity of some of the lawsuits, and at some point there's going to be the risk of taking an AR down, and I don't know if I hope or not that day happens sometimes, but this can't turn into a whirlwind of lawsuits. Well, I guess it can turn into a whirlwind of lawsuits.
Yeah, it actually can. Probably will.
Scary. I mean, again, the frivolity of it all is what we need to be careful of. And maybe these people had to come to Jesus and just said, "Whoa, are we going to be the ones?" I don't know.
I mean,
we got to focus on like selling real estate and protecting home ownership.
Yeah.
And, the tenets of it all, instead of talking about a different lawsuit every week.
Well, I think a lot of it's going to get shaken out because you have the National Association of Realtors that supposedly negotiated the lawsuit and are now basically forcing these brokerages into this settlement that they didn't really agree to. And it was a poorly tried trial. It was not done right, I guess you could say, by all accounts. It was the representation wasn't great. The attorneys, in my opinion, didn't do a good job. They went the wrong direction. They asked the wrong questions, and especially for a jury trial. They may have been technically correct on some of it, but for a jury trial, they played the wrong game. And I think brokerages are pissed because now they're out millions and millions of dollars, and don't feel that it was correct. And there's really no basis to appeal. And then once they do the settlement, all that's out the window anyway.
100%. And it's more, yeah, you're right. The ensuing lawsuits are more valid than the original, or at least the way it was defended.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a really big lawsuit between a lot of the players in the industry versus NAR, and it will forever change how NAR operates. And I think it's going to wind up taking a ton of money away from them, and they will be lean and actually represent our interest instead of having $100 million to spend on marketing. I think that's a wrong, does the Electricians Association spend $50 million on marketing? No. As a trade group, I think they have lost track of the actual mission, which is to lobby for property owners and rights, as well as real estate agents that represent those property owners and rights. If they are a lobbyist organization, that's it. There's no, like, I don't know why they feel the need to promote Realtor as a different thing than real estate agent. No one cares. My clients don't care if I'm a real estate agent or Realtor. So all the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that they spent on the marketing is wasted because it's not done anything. Having a trade organization lobby for you and then provide educational resources, that's what they're there for, in my opinion. And maybe some group buy opportunities. Maybe they could do a little travel for real estate agents, because we as a group all get together and it's an actual discount. It's not like I can just go to, cheap hotels and find a better room and a better rate than what the NAR is offering me. So I think there's a lot of problems with the direction NAR started to go years and years ago. And maybe Kevin can right this ship, maybe not. It remains to be seen, but I think there's going to be some gigantic lawsuits that start to sort all this out. Speaking of Kevin, Nykia Wright is named president and CEO of NAR amid industry shifts. So she has been the temporary interim, and now she is the permanent. The National Association of Realtors has officially appointed Nykia Wright as permanent CEO. It solidifies her role at a time when the industry is navigating significant changes, with the announcement coming just 2 days after the August 17th policy changes. Kevin said he's thrilled with Nykia staying on board to lead us through this time of transformation. Let's see. What would she say? She said, "I'm honored to have earned the confidence and trust from the leadership team to guide the organization to such a critical point. I'm committed to ensure our association remains powerful and effective voice for the industry, fulfilling our goal to bring the privilege of home ownership to more Americans. I'm clear-eyed about our past and present, and I'm hyper-focused on building trust with NAR's many stakeholders so that we can be successful in ensuring we are bringing the best of NAR to each one of our members." Okay, interesting. She has some history advising 500 companies, top universities through Operation Financial Performance Improvement initiatives. She co-founded Sonic Messenger, a software as a service startup. And then she's been the interim for a while. I feel different about this, though. I kind of feel like they're leading a lamb to slaughter. I think they said, hey, let's just name her permanent whenever they got that lawsuit in Michigan. And I think Nykia is going to be set up to be the one that takes the fall. And after all these lawsuits shake through, there'll be another shakeup at the CEO level and someone else will be there. But maybe I've just watched too many movies. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But that's how I feel about it. It's like, oh, timing on this is terrible, man. It should have happened before those lawsuits were filed. But, if those lawsuits are filed.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, I'd love for you to.
Yeah, my background is in real estate and mortgage. And I think that the only way that NAR is going to be able to bail themselves out is to go after Zillow.
Interesting. How would they go after Zillow?
The only way they're going to be able to recover their reputation in this industry is to go after Zillow. Because if you are familiar with Zillow, they have started terminating their relationships with independent agents all over this country.
Yeah.
You can't get any of their services anymore. You have to be an internal employee now to be able to get those leads from Zillow. They just cut every independent off over right up to the lawsuit. And the only way that NAR is going to be able to recover this industry or help us, because they put us in this position, is to help us fight. And the only way that's going to happen is if the attorney generals and the Department of Real Estate of all 50 states does a class action to overturn the DOJ's decision.
But how would that be going after Zillow?
Because Zillow was behind all the lawsuits the whole idea was, and I actually didn't know this much about it. I had heard stuff about it leading to the NAR settlement, starting like I think in January. I actually got out of real estate for a little bit because I was in Vegas for 6 months. I came back to California in February.
Being in Vegas for 6 months will knock anyone out of anything.
Well, I was purpose focused in Vegas, and so I was no longer in real estate and mortgage for 6 months. The only reason I came back is I had left in July, and my mom had a stroke on Thanksgiving Day, and she was getting out of a nursing facility in February, in March, and had no one to take care of her. So I wasn't minding my business. I was investing and doing something completely different. So when I came back to California I hadn't even heard about the NAR settlement until February when I came back. And my daughter is a California real estate agent.
I mean, you got to tune into our show more often.
Well, I actually just got, when I got back to San Diego, I took care of my mom for 4 months. She drove me crazy. So I moved out June 30th.
That's funny.
That's when I kind of got back into the world, because now I'm stuck here because my mom is not going to make it to the end of the year. So I decided to get back entrenched. And a friend of mine told me about Clubhouse. I had never heard about it.
Okay, well, welcome to the Clubhouse.
Maybe a week now. Well, thank you. I've been on it for about a week now, and he's been guiding me and telling me, teaching me how to use it. He actually set me up with a lady yesterday who clued me into how all this works. But
let me interrupt you for just a second so we can stay on. But I want to say that I don't think there's grounds to go after Zillow legally, but are you saying that they need to go after Zillow by combining forces and having like a national MLS? I think that's the best way to go after Zillow.
I mean, actually going after Zillow, because they are creating what is it called?
A monopoly?
Monopoly. Yes. They are creating, I think that's what you're talking about. I read a little about that Antitrust. Zillow is creating a monopoly, because the number one place that people go when they start looking for a house is where? Not Redfin, not Century 21, not Realtor.com, but Zillow.
But they're not going to be, they're not big enough still to do a monopoly.
No, they're not big enough, but they are offering, what they are doing right now is they are offering to do buyers and offering sellers 2% commissions and offering to do the buyer's side for no fees.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. Like we said, were you here at the very beginning of the show when I was talking about ReAlpha?
No,
I
think I came in when you said that. I didn't know what that was.
So go take a look at ReAlpha, and what you're going to run into is the same problem with that business model.
Could you do me a favor? Could you spell that so I know what you're talking about?
ReAlpha. ReAlpha. So there's a business model out there right now that says, hey, you can purchase a home without a real estate agent, and all you got to do is use our website, and here's how to do all that kind of stuff. And it's just not a workable solution. It would be hard to go after Zillow as a monopoly because of homes.com, realtor.com, and some other big businesses that still draw tons of people. So even though they're probably number one, there is still a number two and a number three. And that is enough for the government likely to say, nah, they're not number one. But the reality is real estate agents are still number one. And until real estate agents are no longer number one, then I think some of these other portals might get in trouble. So I think the best way to go after them and beat them is to have better, faster, updated data and a better user interface that connects them with a pro. That's what I think will work. And I think ReAlpha is going to have the same problem. It's a fine user interface. I see the information. It's great. But when I ask the AI a question that's integral to me purchasing this property or not, the AI gives me a general answer and then tells me to go find a professional for the real answer. Well, if I was doing that, I'd have to pay money for it. But what I'm doing is paying 2.5% in transaction fees and still not getting professional help.
So we need a national MLS.
Yeah. National MLS.
No, what we need is an understanding of what real estate agents do. The national MLS is not going to help us if
No.
public thinks we're all a bunch of predatory more whoremongering moneymakers.
Well, 87% of agents probably are, because 87% of agents fail in the first 2 years. So there is a huge problem with the real estate agent perception. And part of that problem is reality, that there is a lot of real estate agents that are lazy. There are a lot of real estate agents that don't do business every year. So,
but do you know why that is, though? Wait, do you? I agree with what you're saying, but do you actually know why that is? Why they fail in the first 2 years?
Yeah, it's hard.
Because I can tell you.
It's hard. It's not an easy job.
They fail in the No, that's not the reason. The reason that they fail is because they aren't being trained. They aren't being taught.
Well, I train
information to do their job.
I've had several agents fail, and I trained the crap out of them, but they wouldn't make the phone call because it's hard. It's hard to swallow and say, okay, I'm going to make this random call to this person because I know that they're supposedly a buyer and it's what I should be doing. I think that's the biggest portion of it.
You might be the one broker.
No,
if
there's
you're a broker. I didn't look at your profile.
There's so much training.
You might be the one that does.
There's so much training. You can Google. Hey, hang on just a minute because we got to move on to the next article. But you can Google how to make a cold call. You could Google how to farm a neighborhood. You could Google all those things, and the answers are there. So there's somebody covering it on YouTube that makes a bunch of money from YouTube.
I'm not talking about anything you can learn on Google, though.
But that is.
I'm talking about. I'm a transaction coordinator, and I actually had a real estate license. I let mine go because I just didn't need it. But I'm talking about the brokers who do not train their people, because the licensing, all the license does is teach you the law. It does not teach you how to do your job. There are people begging all over this country, real estate agents, loan officers, begging for training, and there just isn't any available for them.
Well, let me give the agents that are listening.
Trains, but there are many of them that do not.
Let me give the agents that are listening my best pro tip and advice. Number one, real estate is hard. The knowledge is not difficult. The knowledge is pretty easy. The hardest part is being self-disciplined, setting your time blocks up, and doing what you tell yourself you're going to do and holding yourself accountable. That's number one. Number two, make the freaking call. Make the calls. If you don't make the calls and you don't reach out, you're going to make $0 in the business. And you'll have somebody like ReAlpha that sends your clients an email and saying, hey, don't use your friend because your friend's going to charge you money and you know they don't know anything either. Maverick Home Group agreed. Real estate is not easy. Yeah. All right, so let's go to the next article. We'll see how Nykia Wright does. I may be saying her name wrong. Nykia. So I'm thinking Kia like the car and Nick NYK. So Nykia. Apologize if I am. But we'll see how she does. I think, unfortunately for her, I think that they're setting her up for future failure, because if they don't put her in place, then you're going to have a situation where Kevin Sears is going to be to blame for all the lawsuits and everything that goes through. And he doesn't want that. So he puts a CEO there that will later be let go. So I've been doing the show 5 years. Let's see if that's right. All right, so let's dive into Kamala's plan for the economy and specifically for housing. It came out last week. I was actually on the show with this Sunday with Christina Smallhorn on her YouTube live talking about this in like a roundtable discussion, which was a lot of fun because Christina and I love each other, but don't necessarily see eye to eye politically. But it was a really good conversation. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. Basically, there are two big parts. There's more to it, but just in short, there are two big parts for the Harris plan for housing. Number one is a starter home tax break and aid for first-time home buyers. So it's like $25,000 is what they are going to try to give people for down payment assistance. And it was said down payment assistance, but I saw someone else that say it was tax break. We're trying to find the actual plan, which has so far been unavailable. But I believe she specifically said $25,000 in down payment assistance. Maverick Home Group says incentive for first-time home buyers. What does that mean? Is that a down payment or is that a tax incentive? Either way, though, $25,000 going to someone that purchases a home. The other part of it is that they are calling for $3 million new units. It says units there. It doesn't say single family units. So we're not sure what those units mean. Are those multifamily units to relieve some pressure off the rental? So we're still waiting also for that detail. I'm going to assume that they mean single family homes because we're talking about $25,000 down payment for a house. So if that's in the same context, I'm going to assume she's calling for 3 million new housing units. It's interesting. I love the focus on supply side from both sides, from Democrats and Republicans. The talk about supply side, I think, is the correct pressure. What worries me is the $25,000 given to people that are looking to purchase a home. If you do that and supply side has not caught up yet, you have just created a run on the market as people are going to try to dive in and purchase their home before that incentive is gone. So now all the existing properties that are already in short supply are going to increase in price, and not just those that can be purchased by the first-time home buyers. All prices across the board in the bottom 1/3 of the market are going to increase. So now you have people that don't qualify for that $25,000 credit because maybe their income was just a little bit too high, or maybe they're not whatever the marital status has to be. For whatever reason, they don't qualify for the $25K, but they qualify for a regular conventional loan. Well, now they're going to be paying more for that house too. I also don't like the $25,000 credit because I feel like it disenfranchises those that currently have the ability to purchase with some type of credit. So let's say you have a VA buyer that's got zero down. You have somebody that's been through the Nykia classes or is doing an ADDI or ADFA loan, which are all down payment assistance or no down payment or low down payment types of loans, zero down. If you have someone that just completed all that and is ready to purchase and they're out in the market now and they're trying to buy, now you have an influx of people that now have $25K to purchase. Suddenly the price that person is going to pay for the home that had that incentive before all this starts to go up. So they're losing their incentive basically. Now it matters less. So I'm not a giant fan of it. And I had a friend ask me, like, well, when Bush did it, he did an $8,000 tax credit. Why wouldn't you support the $25,000 tax credit if it is a credit? But I think it is the down payment assistance. But let's say it's a credit and it's just even across the board. Bush did do that. And when he did it, there was an abundance of supply and no one was buying. There was an abundance of supply and no one was purchasing a home. Homes were affordable. They were going down in value very quickly. They were affordable, but people weren't buying because they couldn't get the money. It was a different situation. Back then it was a lending crisis, not a housing crisis. So now we are in a situation where we don't have the supply. And if you give the credit or benefit to a buyer when there is no supply, this is basic microeconomics philosophy. It's very basic. You learn it in your first year at college. If more buyers enter the market and supply doesn't change, then price will increase. Period. Full stop. That's why this portion of the plan at this time in our economy is bad. And I don't care if Trump does it. I don't care if Kamala does it. Am I saying the name? Kamala? I've seen it so many ways. I don't even know anymore. I'll just call her Harris. I don't care if Trump does it. I don't care if Harris does it. If you do a tax credit or a benefit for people right now to purchase a home, it is a mistake. What we need is supply side relief. And Christina had a great idea on the show Sunday. And I think we've talked about it on the show before, where she said instead of the tax credit, what they should be doing is seller side relief. So if a seller is going to sell a property and buy another home, then upon the close of the sale of their home, that's when they get some major tax relief or a benefit to go purchase the next house. I love that idea because it encourages the flood to the market of supply of homes. And I would like it even more if they said, if you're an institutional investor, this also applies for you. That would be huge, because supposedly institutional investors are holding all these properties. They're really not. It's only about 2% of the market. But supposedly institutional investors are holding all these properties, and it might encourage some of them to start offloading some of the properties. And now we're getting more supply into the market. And if you have a situation in which you have oversupply, then you can negotiate with buyers and say, okay, now it's time to give the buyers a little benefit. So that's my take on the situation. The calling for new builds is a great idea, but why not just call for like 5 million? If we're 5 to 7 million short, why not just call for more? What does this calling for mean? I'm going to call for 3 million homes. All right. So Redfin has a breakdown. It says 3 million new for sale and rental homes. So what portion of those are going to be rental? What portion of those are going to be for sale? I do not know. The part I like is both Trump and Harris are talking about cutting red tape. I think that's huge in decreasing the price of properties. I would also love for them to put more focus on materials. Land, labor, and materials are what goes into builds that make them more expensive or less expensive. So if they could put more pressure on materials pricing to get that down somehow, I think that would be great. Providing more certainty for multifamily projects. This is interesting because the number of multifamily projects has gone down recently due to the falling rent rates in multifamily. So you don't see as many of those startups. I don't think, it's just me guessing, just a little guy with a podcast, but I don't think there's a huge shortage in multifamily. Like if somebody had the option of purchasing a home or renting a home versus renting multifamily, a lot of people would choose the house. So I think if you just focus on the houses, I think this multifamily, these big investors with the multifamily projects, I think they're going to figure it out. I don't think we have to help them as much. Allowing multi-unit buildings for HUD code manufactured homes. This could reduce reliance on union labor, which would encourage faster construction and more supply. This is an interesting one because this manufactured home, if they would just make it easier for someone with a manufactured home or someone who wants to buy a manufactured home to buy it with a loan, you would really help the manufactured home industry, the mobile homes. But right now it's very difficult for someone who wants to buy a mobile home to get a loan on it because of all the rules. So if they cut that, that'd be great. Expediting local permitting is always good. Streamlining transit-oriented development projects, always great. I think streamlining and cutting red tape, I love all that. So Redfin calls it down payment assistance to first-time homebuyers, $25,000 down payment assistance. That's what I thought too. I don't think this is a great idea. So there's several pundits and everything that look at this that's talking about, a lot of people are kind of echoing my sentiment about the 25K. It's dangerous and inflationary, and it doesn't look like the solution for the supply side is there. So I think we have to dive into these 3 million units. We really have to dive into this part right here. Build 3 million new for sale and rental homes. We've got to figure this out. We need the details. You're calling for it, but what does that mean? Why don't you just call for more? And so I this is the part I need. If we could do this, this is going to be great. But like I said, why not go ahead and do 5 million instead of 3?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Ray, with going after the massive increase in consumer goods, because if you reduce the cost of everything, it makes it more affordable for people to buy, build, live, everything. And it used to be so red and blue when it came to even having a conversation about corporate greed, but the corporate greed has exceeded the realm of reality to the point where even red people can't are being hit in the pocketbook every time you turn around. I mean, it's just corporate greed has finally become so un-American that it's got broad support, and she's already talked about it. I hope there are ways to go after and control it in some way.
Yeah,
it answers so many of our problems.
I agree. Edward Pinto, senior fellow and co-director of the American Enterprise Institute's Housing Center, said, "My conclusion is that Harris's housing plan would be worse than doing nothing." There's not a lot of resounding support around it, honestly. There's a lack of definitions. It's hard to define what a starter home is. That's what one person said. If they give the tax incentives only to starter homes right now, the builders that can afford to build the starter homes are these big shops like D.R. Horton and Lennar. They are not your local builder. So it's not like your local builder is going to benefit much from it because they can't even build in that range anyway due to land, labor, and materials. So it's still not addressing the actual issue. It seems to be like a lot of it seems to be addressing a problem and not the issue. There is $40 billion going to innovation fund. An innovation fund. There was already $20 billion given to this innovation fund. And they said that they would watch this innovation fund to make sure that they're actually spending it like they should be spending it, yada, yada, yada. But we have $20 billion in that innovation fund right now, and it hasn't been spent. Or it has been spent actually, but we don't know, like, what is it spent on? Tell me. Christina said a lot of it went to rezoning.
Right? Innovation.
Innovation. Christina said a lot of it went to rezoning. And I'm like, well, that seems to be a high price tag for rezoning unless you're just paying off politicians, which is probably it. But some of it went to like local politicians not politicians, sorry. Local, state, municipal authorities in order to improve housing. But I guess the last thing I'll say about this is the Biden-Harris administration was tasked with building 500,000 electric chargers, which is a fairly simple structure. We have them in Arkansas, so how hard could it be? They were tasked with building 500,000 chargers over their 4 years in the admin. They got $7.5 billion to do it. So far, they've completed 8. And personally, I don't trust someone who can't build 500,000 units of a relatively simple thing with now building 3 million units of a very complex thing. So I need details about their supply side, and it's got to be more than a builder incentive because that ain't going to cut it. I need supply side details if I'm going to believe what they're telling me about calling for 3 million units. All right, so let's blast through the next articles because, like I said, I do have a pretty hard out today. U.S. home prices tick up 0.2%, skyrocketing. It's for the second consecutive month in July, seasonally adjusted basis. That's equal to the smallest month-to-month over increase since January of 2023. Here's the Redfin chart that shows that it does seem to be leveling off a bit. The highest or the fastest increase was from 5/1/2020 to 7/1/2022, over which a period Susie Orman said not to buy a house because homes will be worth half price once all this is over. And as you can see, she was more than 150% wrong, it looks like. Here's the month-over-month national averages. And the next article, existing home sales rose 0.6% last month, but were at the lowest July level on record. So sales have slowed down.
Ray,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. You missed an opportunity with your pre-show bah ha 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 after Susie Orman.
That is true.
I'm looking for the button here.
I should have.
Sorry.
I don't have it ready, but I definitely should have done it. Hang on.
Sorry, man. I know you're short on time.
Where'd it go? Here it is.
Got it.
There you go. I have a couple of those. Susie Orman. All right, so lowest level, we're at right now, the lowest level on record. Sales of existing home rose 0.6%. If you're a real estate agent in the business right now and you feel like things are a little bit slow, just look at this chart. The only time it's been comparable was 2012. 2012. And you know how many more real estate agents there are than 2012? A lot more. So there is a smaller pie and a lot more people eating it. So you have to get out there and actually do the work. That's why you have to make the call. That's why you have to set up your time blocks. That's why you have to do what you're supposed to do. If you don't do that, it's not going to go well. All right, Arizona and Nevada have lost tens of thousands of registered Democrats since the last presidential election. You might think, Ray, why are you focusing on voter fraud? I'm not. I'm focusing on people moving around the country. The question is, where do these people go? Now, were some of them like moved off the rolls because they became not real people? Possibly. But Arizona lost 186,119. Nevada lost 54,000 registered Democrats. Arizona also lost 73,000 Republicans, and Nevada gained 753 Republicans. Now, this is the biggest number, which I thought was nuts. The change in number of registered independents in Arizona, it went up 37,000. In Nevada, it went up 320,000. A lot of independents moving to Nevada for some reason. So the article goes on to talk about people moving around the country for political reasons. And being someone in Arkansas, we see this a lot, where we're having a big influx from people that are generally Republican coming from areas that are generally Democrat. So we get a lot of people that love the outdoors, but don't necessarily like Oregon or Washington or Colorado, Denver, Colorado specifically. So we're seeing that a lot, where people are moving to our state because they like what our state has to offer and that it's similar to where they are, and yet the politics are slightly different. And the article goes on to talk about more of that and how people are moving around the country. But 186,000 of one party changing, that's kind of wild. Record 8.5% of U.S. homes are worth $1 million or more. So this means that if you want to purchase a home, about 10% of it, you're going to be paying over $1 million. That's wild. We were talking on another, it wasn't a podcast. It was like a little tight networking group. And one of the agents there was saying that there are more homes worth $1 million in her market than there ever has been. And these are starter homes. Now in Arkansas, by the way, if you're listening to that thing, oh, I cannot afford $1 million. Well, a starter home here is what, 180K, 250K if you want a nice starter home. So there's still ways to find. Now, if you want like a little bitty house, you can pay under 100K here for that. So there are still deals to be had, but people are going to have to move around the country to find them. That's what people used to do. It feels like everyone somehow is entitled to a lower priced property where they currently live. But people have always moved around to more affordable or less affordable areas depending on what they wanted. I don't understand why it's like people feel this entitlement towards, no, I want to live here and homes should be cheaper here. Homes are not cheaper there because more people want to live there. So go to somewhere else where less people are going to, and you'll find a better deal. But if you want to stay where you are, you're going to have to compete with other people that want to live there too. It's just normal. That's how it works. There's more people, less homes. If you want to solve the issue, then figure out what people are doing on the supply side. Like I said, supply side is key. All right, U.S. nearly doubles in Canadian lumber tariffs. This is interesting because I want to watch in the future to see what happens. So the Canadian lumber tariffs just doubled. This could be something now where you're going to hear a candidate talk about cutting tariffs and what tariffs are now. They've been low. Now they just doubled and went up. So lumber is now a little more expensive. The prices, there's a chart over here on the right side of the NAHB that shows you the lumber prices per board foot. It got up to something nuts in 2000 and I want to say it was 2022, maybe 2023. It got up to like $1,600 per board foot. The most recent high was right around $610 per board foot, and now it's back down to 520 something, it looks like. So before, the pre-pandy prices were right around the 300 and 400 mark. So if you look at like from 300 and 400 to now 500 over a couple of year span, that seems to be normal, except we had this giant hump in the middle where lumber prices were absolutely insane. So they have returned to some normalcy, but tariffs just went up. So expect those lumber prices to be a little more expensive for your builders. All right, we did have a mini boom. Weekly mortgage refi demand falls back 15%, not to 15%. So after the slight drop in rates, you had a whole bunch of people that went ahead and ran into the market to refi. Now rates have kind of stabilized. They're not going up very fast. They're not going down very fast, but it seems to be you have less people running to refi. Where is my applications to purchase? Applications for mortgage purchase fell 5% for the week and were 8% lower than the same week a year ago. So this is about the time though where you see a slight decrease. I think it's probably due to school starting. You just see a slight decrease in the number of mortgage applications as kids go back to school, and then it picks up about the time kids are in school for weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that does indeed happen. One more thing to share. I guess this got moved around because I did have it earlier, but Ketchmark is watching. Every move you make, I'll be watching you, says Ketchmark. So there's a song for that I don't want to play or I'll get kicked off of these streaming platforms. But he said in a recent interview that they're going to be watching everything. Ketchmark, we've been monitoring what is happening with the industry in a lot of webinars and training programs, just seeing how people are interpreting this and what their intention is. If anyone thinks they're going to be able to avoid the application of the settlement agreement and the law by creating some new forms or hiding this cooperation on new websites, they are wrong. If there's any sense that people or corporations are doing that out there, there's a wait, let me read. If we get any sense that people or corporations are doing that out there as a way around this, we plan on taking swift legal action. So there's already been some rumors that some people fined pretty hefty. I heard about this agent that was fined $30,000. I don't know who that was or what they did, but that was the rumor I heard. But that was a fine. That was not a legal act to my knowledge. But we know they are watching. I had a broker here locally tell me that there are the secret shoppers in our marketplace right now. And those secret shoppers are looking for these red flags. We don't know if they're DOJ, if they're based on the attorney, or if they're more friendly from our local association, trying to make sure we're doing everything right. This is some of what they're looking at. Laws on keychains, stealth commission, offers raised flag. And these have been jokes that have been posted around the internet. You know, you could see in the lawn there a 3% mowed into the lawn, 3% in front of a house. Here's some signs in a landscape that says herbs, cabbage, 3%, 3% on keychains stuck in the super box. And then, flashing signs. It's got a volleyball player flashing the signs behind their back. So they're saying don't do that. Now, some people are putting it on Instagram, and it says that you can put it on your website. That's pretty vague. Like, what is a website? Instagram.com is a website. Instagram.com/RayZorback is my website, you could say. So if I'm putting it on my Instagram feed, is that wrong? There's a lot of question about that. My best advice in this whole situation, as not an attorney nor your broker, so you should probably seek further counsel. My best advice in this situation is to use this phrase that Sharon Srivatsa used, and actually John from Chicago reminded me of yesterday. When someone calls and asks, is the seller offering any buyer agent compensation? The correct answer is, the seller is open to compensating the buyer's agent based on the terms of the offer. The seller is open to compensating the buyer's agent based on the terms of the offer. And as a team, we're asking anyone who makes an offer to anyone on our team to include the buyer agent compensation in the offer if they want to use it and get paid with it. So it's going to all be, Maverick said, that's crazy to find agents like that. BS. Well, it depends on what they did. Depends on what they did. Okay. But we'll see how this all shakes out. But I think the best advice is just to make it all negotiable, put it fully transparent, and anyone that tries to send you a document making a special agreement behind the scenes with them, I think this is a big no-no. I think that's going to be frowned upon in the future too. So for now, get everything open, because I think that's the only way to go.
And at the end of the day, the seller figures it out on a net sheet.
Yeah, they can see it.
Done.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Like done.
Super easy.
Don't show it anywhere. Anywhere.
And
I don't
agents,
think you have to show cooperation anywhere.
this is
Let
going to take
buyer's
out.
agent do their own thing.
This is going to take out a lot of agents that have been relying on really good listing agents to negotiate the fees on their behalf. And that's fine.
Yeah.
It'll also make a lot of us more professional. So I'm excited where we are now. All right, guys. Well, that is the blitz of a show today. I have got to go meet a insurance guy for a cup of coffee. Then I'm going to go film with a builder. And then I'm going to do some training with my agents. So Deborah, you'll be happy to hear that. Thanks everybody for joining the show. And if you're new here, please leave a comment and let me know. And follow us over on Instagram, Rayzorback, RAYZORBACK. And I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the show. And if you love the show, let me know you love it. If you hate it, be sure to comment and let your frustrations be known. Thanks everybody for joining. And if you're over on Twitch, I didn't see any comments come through Twitch. I've not marketed or anything. So there may have been no viewers on Twitch, but I'm going to go over there and check it out. And maybe I just have to have that screen up too. I'm not really sure, but we'll figure it out. I'm going to figure out a way to display your comments over. So if you're on Twitch, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see y'all next week. I'll be in Dallas. If you're in Tom Ferry, if you're going to Tom Ferry Summit in Dallas, let me know. I'd love to connect with you guys. So I will see you back live 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.